My name is Tonya Chandler, and I'm a graduate student at the University of West Florida in the Historical Archaeology Department. And my area of research is Spanish Catholic burial customs from the 1750s. Now, the earliest above-ground marker that we have here at St. Michael's is actually from the Second Spanish period in Pensacola, which was an era between 1781 and 1821. And so in order to get information about the 1750s period, we have to look elsewhere. So, for example, some research has been done at the first Spanish presidio in Pensacola, which was Santa Maria de Galve, which was used until 1719. So we compare this with other information that we have from the Spanish mission context throughout the state of Florida. And this was the time between 1560 and 1700. Now, the time between 1560 and 1750 sounds like quite a long span of time, but there were some elements that were common to Spanish burials throughout this time. So for example, we know that typically people were buried beneath the church floor, and if they weren't at the church floor, they were right outside the church. And so there's a lot of emphasis on the Catholic Church, and so cemeteries were built around it. We also know that they were very shallow burials. They were less than 3 feet below the ground. And also individuals were wrapped in cloth shrouds. Coffins don't appear in the record until the British occupation in 1763. And so at this time, people were typically just wrapped in cloth, and they were secured with small brass shroud pins, and they were just placed in the ground. And they might have been marked with some type of wooden cross. And so these materials, the cloth and the wood, they don't hold up over time. And so we have nothing today that we can look at here in St. Michael's from this time period. We also know that Spanish people were placed with the arms across the chest. And this might have been a Spanish preference, because this is compared to British burials where the arms are next to the sides, or even Native American burials, which were on the side in a flex position. In addition, within the church, the higher status and more wealth you had, the more grave goods you might have had, and the closer to the altar you would be placed. So the altar being the center of the church focus. In addition, graves would have been placed very close together, so they would have been a little bit crowded, but they would all be faced in the same direction generally. They were faced in an eastward-facing orientation, so that was symbolic as well, because you're facing the rising sun, and you're also religiously facing Christ at the resurrection.